Welcome to Tabletop Creator Academy. Today, I'm going to show you how is the process to design and create your own cards. You'll be able to create cards as cool as these ones. Let's get started. So as you can see, I have already loaded my project, Aethor. As you can see, we already have 3 decks created. But now I want to create my Dungeons card set. So I start by creating a blueprint. So we go to the blueprint section and I'm going to create a new blueprint. I'm going to select the tarot card size because I want the Dungeons cards to have like a bigger size than the rest of the cards of my game. So I select this one. Okay, so now that we are already here, you can see a lot of options. Here we have the blueprint properties that we already showed you in the blueprint episode of the Tabletop Creator Academy. So I'm not going to deep dive in these properties right now. But what I do want to explain are the panels, which are basically what compose our entire design. So as you can see here, we have the standard card that Tabletop Creator creates for us. But let's start by removing all of this because I want to have the card completely blank. Okay. To remove a panel, you simply go to your panel list that you'll have right here. Select the one you want to remove and simply click the remove button. And we do so with all of them. So as you can see, here we have the blank canvas. I want to create the dungeon cards, which will basically consist of an entire image representing the dungeon itself, and it'll have some info that it is needed to be played. So the first thing I'm going to start with is by creating a procedural panel, which is this one. It's the most basic panel we can have in Tabletop Creator. It's basically a panel with a shape that we can change, similar to the blueprint itself. But here we are just changing the panel. As you can see here, it already matches the shape of the blueprint, So we are not changing the blueprint itself, we're changing the panel we just created. So I'm going to take this panel and resize it so it matches the entire card, the entire blueprint we have created. Here, so to start keeping things organized, I'm going to name the blueprint the background, for example. Okay, so as you can see in the procedural panel, we have some few properties, very similar to the one of the blueprint itself. We can change the shape, the color of the procedural panel. Here we can select its border, which basically this means that if we create it a border, we will have just the border of the panel, as you can see. This is very useful to create frames, for example. But if we remove the border, it will just fill completely. We could change the radius of the square we just created. But then we can also enable the advanced tab, which will allow us to have quite more properties, as you can see. I'm not going to dive deep in all of the advanced properties, since they are basically the simpler ones, but a bit more complex. You can just try them by yourself and see what every property does, and have a little fun with it, testing out a bit what you're capable of creating with all these properties. Okay, why did I create this shape? Because the first thing I want to start with is by organizing how I want the text and the data of the card to appear. So what I will do is to create a new panel group. So I'm going to separate the text from the design itself. Okay. So I create a new group and I'll name it, for example, data. This one, I name it just design. And I create a new panel, the text one. I'll use this one, for example, for the name of the dungeon. My first dungeon is named the Dragon's Lair. As you can see right now, we can't see anything because the text itself it's also the same color as the procedural panel we created earlier. I'll put it white just for now so you can see the text. So the same thing as with procedural panels. Here we have some properties for the font, for the text. We can change the font. We can choose if we want to out of size it based on the shape of the text panel. I'll turn that off for now. I'm not interested in that. We can change the font style if we want it to be bold or underlined, all these kind of stuffs, the alignment, if we want it to have an outline, if we want it to have a shadow, all the things, usual things we have in every text editor. We can also here with these settings, which are different from these ones because these ones affect the entire text panel. But with these ones, we can select, for example, single things like imagine I want layer to be in a different color than the rest of the text. So I basically just select layer, as you can see here, and I go to this and just select it for it to be red. And as you can see, just layer is in red. If you wanted to remove this, you could basically just turn layer into white again, or you can deactivate this option and it will appear like a more complex way of understanding how all these properties work. And you would basically select remove tags and you would have the text by itself again. Okay, so I select the font I've been using for my game. I'm going to write the entire name in capital letters because I think it'll look better with the design I have in mind. I'll put the name here, for example, for now. Then we can also create an image panel, which I'm going to create in the design tab, which, as the name says, it's a panel that allows us to put an image in our card. We can pick an image. Tabletop Creator itself has some default images already for you. If you want to use them, you can just take a look of everything we have here. Some default images. The same goes for icons. We have some default icons we can use, which I think is pretty useful to have this already in the program. But you can also select an image from your computer. So if you made your illustrations with another application like Photoshop, or maybe you draw them or whatever, you basically select the open file option and simply search for the image you want. But an important thing to say is that as we are creating the blueprint, here it's not as important to select the image you want to use. But what it's really important is to define how you want that image to be placed in your card. For example, I want the image to be like a full card design. So here again, you can see the Dragon's Lair, the name of the dungeon, because the default image color when you don't have an image is white. I'll pick one later when I show you another feature for Tabletop Creator. But again, here you have some image properties, and once again, you have a lot of advanced properties. You can take a look and iterate with them to test and find what suits you better for your card design. Having explained the most used panels, which are these three, the name, image, and procedural panels, we have three more left. We have the data panel, which basically allows you to add some metadata to your card. This is very useful for exportation. It doesn't really add anything to the design, just for data. When you export the card to any other program or whatever. We'll talk about. We're going to deep dive a bit more in that in the episode where we talk about exportation. But just for you to know that this panel also exists. We also have the QR panel, which is a pro feature that allows you to basically create a QR panel for your card. For whatever reason, if you needed a QR panel, you can directly generate it in Tabletop Creator. You simply paste here the link of your web page or whatever you want to link to the QR panel, and it will basically create one, and you can also change its color and all of that. And then we have the link panel, which is also very useful, mostly for backgrounds. I'll explain you later why. Basically, it's a panel that can be linked to another panel. That's also why it's quite important to name the panel so you can know what are you selecting in these menus. And for example, if I wanted to have the name two times in my card design, imagine I wanted it to be here and also down here. Let me change the color to black so you can see it. I basically would have to select the name in the link panel. And as you can see, I just created another panel with the same info. The thing is, they are not different panels because if I make any modification in the original panel, like for example, let's say I want the color it to be red, it will also change in the link panel. That's quite a useful feature, if you ask me, for a lot of things, mostly in designing the back of your cards, which is basically the same as designing the front of your cards. The thing is, only pro users can modify the design of the back of their cards. And as you can see, these are the 6 main panels we have in Tabletop Creator. So now I'll take a moment to create the design of the card. I'll show it to you. Another pretty important feature we got in Tabletop Creator is to be able to create a grid for us to have a bit of a guide when creating our card. We basically click here where it says viewport, and then we go down here where it says show grid, and we toggle that on, and as you can see, a grid has been created. We can select how many guides we want. For example, I select just 5 and 5, and that will help us a lot while designing our card to maintain things symmetric. Another very important feature in the list of funnels, you can rearrange how they are ordered in the card itself by simply clicking these two buttons. For example, this card frame I just created, right now it's behind the everything, behind the Dragon Slayer name and behind the name frame. Imagine it to be, for example, color red, and I want it to be in front of the names frame. we basically just have to select the card frame and move it up. And as you can see right now, it's just in front of the name frame panel that I created. Okay, so we already have our pretty solid prototype created for our dungeon cards. And now, as you can see, we also have the back designed. So now we are just left the images, which we are going to add in just a moment. So let's go to the component section. We go to our dungeons deck. Here, as you can see, we have already created 20 cards because when I imported all the info for the rest of the cards, the info for the dungeon cards also got imported. So there's already going to be info here. As you can see, a rookie mistake. I didn't name the blueprint, so let me just do it in a moment. Dungeons, as you can see. And now we have it here. And we just selected it. And as you can see, we have already here all the dungeons from my game. The Dragon's Lair, which is the one we were creating. Archmage Tower, Pit of the Forgotten, the Secreted Sanctuary, Bone Labyrinth, all of them. We have all of them. We are just left to import our images and we would have our cards created. So let's take the Dragon's Lair, for example. To add the image for our background, the main image that's going to be the illustration for the card, we just basically go to the image section and pick a file. Here, as you saw before, I just explained this function, the open image picker. But just beside it, we have the generate image function, which is the one I'm going to use to create the image for the video. You basically are able to generate an image. You have an integrated image generator inside of Tabletop Creator. So it's easier for you to prototype till you have like a definitive illustration drawn or commanded. You can have a more visual representation of the final design of the card, which is very useful. So let me generate a quick design for this card, and I'll show you. Okay, so as you can see, I made a few attempts till I got something that we can use for now. I really like the look of this image, but as you can see, we have to make a few adjustments to the colors, mostly of the text. Right now, it's not pretty much understandable. We also need to adjust a bit the color of the icons and the data that we have here. So let me fix that quickly and we'll get to it. Okay, so as you can see, I made some modifications. So right now this would be our design. As you can see, the back still has to be finished. I still have to add an icon, like for the rest of the cards, like this. But that would be uh, a basic guide to how to create your cards design. So as you can see, you can easily create a design like this one and replicate it through all of your cards. If you make one change, the change will be applied to all the cards you have, as you can see. And this will be the final result. I made some few changes to the blueprint, and I added all the images I needed to to each card. So now, already having learned how to create your own cards, it's your turn to create the most wonderful designs you are capable of. Thank you for watching.